So after months of negotiations with Mercedes, Lewis Hamilton has extended his contract, which will see him there until the end of the 2025 season, earning reportedly £50 million per season. Not bad, is it? So now, after the dust has settled from all this, I thought now would be quite a good time to have a look at this whole thing and examine why Lewis Hamilton rejected Ferrari. So prior to Hamilton eventually re-signing with Mercedes, there was quite a lot of speculation by quite a lot of big personalities in F1 saying that this was going to be quite a likely move. I mean, straight away, this would have been the biggest and most loaded driver move in a very long time. Maybe ever. As Red Bull isn't an option, and if Mercedes weren't going to give Hamilton what he wanted, Ferrari was the next best option on the table. So Lewis has accomplished pretty much everything he can at Mercedes, so this Ferrari move would have absolutely presented a fresh new challenge for him. A Ferrari move, I think, really would have tested Hamilton in ways that we haven't seen recently. As it looked like that there weren't going to be any big signings alongside him to complement his move there, he would have really had to drag that team up by the scruff of the neck. If you examine when Schumacher moved from Benetton to Ferrari in 1996, it wasn't just Schumacher that came. Ross Brawn, the technical director, and Rory Byrne, the designer, also came from Benetton, who were off the back of 2 World Championship wins. Ferrari were buying the whole package there. And this whole package completely overhauled Ferrari and turned it into that massive dominating machine that we saw in the early 2000s. I think, to put it into modern perspective, the equivalent of this would be Ferrari signing Max Verstappen, Christian Horner and Adrian Newey in one swoop. I guess what I'm saying is that Hamilton looks like he would have just been bolted onto the side of this misfiring Ferrari project at the moment, and I don't think that would have been a success at all. If you examine the overall team dynamics between Mercedes and Ferrari, they could not be any more different. They are completely polar opposites. And I think immediately this would have presented a red flag for Lewis. At Mercedes, Hamilton is the focal point. He is at the center of the Mercedes solar system, and everything just revolves around him. All the people, all the systems, he is at the center. And everything at the team is sculpted around what exactly he needs. It's a perfect setup for any driver. We saw last season and sometimes this season where Lewis has been very vocal about the poor performance of the Mercedes car, slating the car over the team radio and all this sort of thing. And then off the back of this, we saw Toto Wolff apologising to Lewis for giving him such a bad car. I'm not sure that sort of thing would fly at Ferrari. The dynamic at Mercedes is in such a way that Lewis is able to have his points considered for when the car is designed and put together. And he can also have his views considered as to who is going to be in the seat next to him and sort of what philosophy of design the car is going to take. And then on the other end of the spectrum, we have Ferrari. Ferrari is an institution with traditions and philosophies that have lasted ever since its founding in 1939, and its founder, Enzo Ferrari, is still revered by everyone at the team. Now, just to flip this round, without looking at Wikipedia, tell me who founded Mercedes. Go on. It's that important to them. Now, these traditions can serve as an advantage, but also quite a big disadvantage in the fast-paced world of modern F1. Unlike Mercedes, Ferrari has a very different mentality where the car is the star. In the modern era, Mercedes grew great because it was driven by Hamilton, whereas with Ferrari, drivers grew great because they drove a Ferrari. From what we can see outside anyway, it looks like drivers aren't really that involved in the key decisions made by people like Fred Vasseur and people in management. There definitely appears to be this vibe of sit down, shut up, drive the car. Hamilton would have had a seriously hard time trying to find a way to fit in at Ferrari, I think. And I also don't think Ferrari would have known what to do with him. He's such a central figure at Mercedes, and I don't think he would have been able to replicate that at Ferrari. Nor would Ferrari be happy to try and replicate that for him. As I said before, just get in the car and drive fast. Pronto, pronto, pronto. And I'd say with Ferrari looking unlikely to change, Ferrari definitely wouldn't have been as considerate if Hamilton ever told them that the car is difficult to drive or performing badly, especially if he mentioned this in public or over the team radio. I mean, something that's massively important is if Hamilton did sign with Ferrari and got there, he wouldn't turn a wheel in anger until he was 39 years old. And I'm not sure at 39 the motivation and drive is there to familiarise yourself with a new process process, a new team and a new car, and really drive things on to turn it back into a world championship winning machine. I mean, if Hamilton went there when he was 29, yeah, absolutely he could do it. But at 39, I mean, with Ferrari unlikely to be the first, second, or possibly third best car on the grid in 2024, Hamilton might have had a seriously hard time adjusting to a new car built in such a way that he's not accustomed to. And I think at age 39, he would have been thinking to himself, what the hell am I doing? I mean, whether you love him or hate him, Hamilton is the most marketable driver on the grid, easily by a long way. And his own personal brand and his values around social issues are reflected and supported by Mercedes. And that's a really unique position to be in. Hamilton needs that freedom to express himself. Mercedes currently give him this. Ferrari absolutely would have not. I mean, one factor that apparently held up the negotiations was how often Lewis was needed to be available for sponsor and media events. No one likes doing it, but it's part and parcel when you're an F1 driver. Shake hands with a bunch of people, say that the sponsor or partner is great, job done. But when you're doing this numerous times a week, it's got to rub a lot. So the fact that Lewis has actually re-signed with Mercedes shows that they must have offered some sort of compromise there. I mean, at Ferrari, whatever they would have paid him, Hamilton would have been expected to be wheeled out for all sorts of sponsorship events, just like Leclerc and Sainz are at the moment. I mean, whether you like it or not, Hamilton transcends F1. And if you speak to anyone who doesn't know anything about F1 or motorsport, they'll know who Lewis Hamilton is. And if you go to a Grand Prix weekend at Silverstone, it is just a sea of Hamilton and Mercedes merchandise. God, imagine how disappointed they would all be when all that stuff is made redundant and then they've got to go buy a load of red stuff instead. But one of the most glaring things is that Ferrari just straight up have not been performing recently. They have struggled a lot on and off the track, and there's been a serious lack of competitiveness towards any championship in the last, I don't know, since the Vettel days. I mean, with Hamilton being a very competitive driver and him looking to chase after his 8th world title, he would have been very hesitant to do this. And with things not looking any good for Ferrari in the future, it would have been an enormous risk. He absolutely would have had to have risked his legacy and his reputation on this one. And is he willing to do this at this stage? Probably not. I mean, unlike Schumacher did years ago, Hamilton doesn't have age on his side to try and turn this massive Ferrari ship around. I mean, Schumacher joined Ferrari for 96, didn't win their first driver's title till 2000. Hamilton doesn't have 4 or 5 years in the bag to do this. And unlike Schumacher, I don't think Hamilton would have had the patience to do it either. I mean, Ferrari haven't won a constructor's title since 08, nor a driver's title since 07. That is a seriously long time ago now. I mean, big, famous names all tried in the past to try and right the Ferrari ship and have failed. Prost, Alonso, Vettel, they all tried, and they got spat out the other side. And I think Hamilton would have fallen into this category as well, which at this point means Mercedes is absolutely the best place for him. Hamilton knows that right now Mercedes are the best chance for him to land his 8th world championship. Apart from Red Bull, he's got the best seat in the house. I mean, also Mercedes can offer Hamilton that brand ambassador position that he's quite keen about after he retires. And this basically means that he can hang around and still be part of the team after he's gone. Kind of like Michael Schumacher was in 07, 08 and 09. And I suppose the biggest factor of all, and especially at this stage of his career, is his comfort zone. You know, at Mercedes, he knows all the processes, he's got to know all the names of his engineers, he knows the whole operation. If you've ever been to the Mercedes factory at Brackley, it is a Hamilton shrine, pretty much, full of all of his cars and trophies. You know, why would you walk away from that? I mean, Hamilton rejected Ferrari not on money grounds, but it was simply just looking at Ferrari's state at the moment. Hamilton clearly didn't see any processes that would be put into place when he joined, as when Schumacher did when he joined Ferrari. I mean, Hamilton, he's made his money, but the likelihood of Ferrari providing him with a race-winning and world championship winning car at this stage is quite slim. But despite everything and everything that's been in the news, I personally think that seeing Hamilton in a Ferrari would have been absolutely insane and an amazing part of the story if it had happened. I mean, the drama and fireworks and just the absolute potential for a cluster that would have happened. A situation that might have been almost too perfect for this world. I mean, I'm not an avid supporter of Hamilton, Ferrari, or Mercedes for that matter. So it wouldn't have been any skin off my back. I would have just been sitting there with a box of popcorn and just watching it all play out. So to have seen Hamilton make an attempt to try and bring Ferrari back would have been very good to see, and I think for him to finally win over the fans in Italy would have been very, very interesting. So there we go, that's why I think Lewis Hamilton rejected Ferrari. Please share your opinions in the comments below. I'd love to see what everyone has to say about this, as it is quite a controversial story and would have been the biggest driver move that a lot of us had ever seen. And thank you so much for your support so far with the channel. It's been really, really great to see. I really appreciate it, and there's a lot more to come. So please, as ever, like, share and subscribe, and stay tuned. I'm Paul, and many thanks for watching.